A warm welcome to your Barbados Today Morning News Update for Monday, August 16. Candidates vying for the presidency of the National Union of Public Workers have been reacting to the incumbent president's, Akani McDowall's, withdrawal from the upcoming race. Over the weekend, McDowall announced that he was not contesting the polls, citing political interference in the process. However, his challengers tell Barbados Today they have not had that experience. Presidential hopeful Kimberly Agard says the only challenge to her campaign thus far has been the COVID-19 pandemic.
If I was to speak to any interference or hindrance throughout the campaign, it would definitely be COVID-19, because you have to be conscious of the fact that persons want to maintain their space, and then a lot of the government workers are working from at home. So if I was to speak of any hindrance or interference into the campaign for this election, I would definitely have to lay it on COVID-19 and not really on any other external factors. And so we would have had to be creative in the ways that we got our message out, by using some multimedia screens, using the social media a lot more, and stuff like that. Email blasts. There are things that we did this election that we did not do last time.
Meanwhile, presidential hopeful Fabian Jones says his team is ready for Thursday's election.
It's a bit of a bittersweet feeling, as I was valiantly preparing for and looking forward to facing off and defeating such a formidable candidate at the August 19th poll. However, I would also like to take this opportunity to wish Brother McDowall all the best in his future endeavors. And I believe that this should augur well for what I expect to be a resounding victory for my team and I come Thursday, August 19th, 2021. But I've decided to intensify and invigorate my effort so as to mitigate any chance of interference from anybody, actually. So I'm really counting on the wider membership to really come out and let the voices be heard at this time, as I put forward my case for a stronger union and, most importantly, an independent union.
Public discussions on Barbados' transition to Republican status continues unabated. Several University of the West Indies academics spoke on the issue during a virtual Citizens Town Hall meeting last evening. Political science lecturer Cynthia Barrow-Gills says there is need for greater input by citizens on the transition.
The bottom line is that there is the opportunity for greater input. And so I know that we have some concerns about the overweening powers that prime ministers have under our constitutions in the Caribbean. But insofar as that movement is concerned, what we are seeing is actually a dilution, small, maybe minute, but nevertheless a dilution of the power of the prime minister, in so much as, for the first time in the post-independence history of Barbados, the head of state would be selected by a group of people rather than by an individual. And having said by an individual, we of course know that sometimes prime ministers do have the kitchen cabinet, and we know therefore there'll be some influences. But for the first time, we see that an electoral college will be constituted of the parliament, and that parliament would in fact select the Governor General.
In his contribution, law lecturer Dr. Ronnie Yearwood says the move to select a head of state should come from the people and not from the political class.
I have a fundamental problem with unelected senators being able to contribute to the selection of a prime minister. So the system is not totally representative. But Cynthia is right. There is that small change. We can appreciate that. But as you noted earlier, this could be moments for real innovation. We've gone through the models. We've gone through the process of amendment. We've looked at the actual concept of consultation and what that could mean. So there's a lot that we've put on the table. And as I said earlier, these sessions were not about us editorializing. We've kept our personal views on this to ourselves, really. We all share very different views on this. I think maybe the only thing that we agree on is that there should be a republic.
The Barbados Defence Force celebrated its 42nd anniversary with a church service at the St. Matthias Anglican Church on Sunday. Addressing the gathering, Chief of Staff Colonel Glenn Granham said the legacy of the force was built on integrity and an unwavering resolve even in these challenging times.
As we embark into our 43rd year, there will be uncertainties, there will be challenges ahead. Foes in plenty we shall meet, but our hearts will remain courageous and scorn defeat. We shall remain steadfast in the service of Barbados, to executing the tasks in accordance with our core values, our code of conduct, our principles, the rule of law, and with a faith that remains steadfast.
To the latest COVID-19 numbers, Barbados recorded its highest daily number in over a month on Saturday. 23 people, 10 males and 13 females, tested positive for COVID-19 from the 1,770 tests conducted by the Barbados Santos Public Health Laboratory. The number of people in isolation is 101. The country has recorded 4,548 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 48 deaths since the start of the pandemic in March 2020. A total of 100,036 first doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have been administered by public health officials. The national vaccination program has also seen 85,080 people receive second doses. This represents 31.4% of the population.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news now, the death toll from Saturday's devastating 7.2 magnitude earthquake in Haiti climbed over 1,290 on Sunday as rescuers continue to pick through the rubble in a desperate search for survivors. Officials are also reporting that an unknown number of people are missing and thousands have been injured. More in this report from Reuters TV.
The 7.2 magnitude quake, which hit one day earlier, flattened hundreds of homes and buildings, with rescue efforts about to become more complicated by the arrival of Tropical Storm Grace, set to lash Haiti with heavy rains on Monday. The southwestern region of Haiti bore the brunt of the earthquake, especially in and around the city of Les Cayes. Haiti is still recovering from the effects of another major earthquake 11 years ago and reeling from the assassination of its president, Jovenel Moïse, in July. Some Haitians spent the weekend sleeping out in the open, traumatized by memories of the magnitude 7 quake in 2010 that struck closer to the capital, Port-au-Prince, and killed tens of thousands of people. U.S. President Joe Biden in a statement said he was saddened by the latest catastrophe and authorized aid to Haiti. The U.S. Coast Guard airlifted injured residents, including babies, off the island nation. Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who was thrust to the forefront after the president's death, stressed that the distribution of aid must be more organized than it was in 2010, when chaos and logistical confusion severely hampered efforts.
On the international front, an interior minister official in Afghanistan says Taliban insurgents entered the capital Kabul on Sunday, even as the United States evacuated diplomats from its embassy. More in this report from Reuters TV.
There was no reports of fighting. A Taliban spokesman said in a statement that the group was in talks with the government for a peaceful surrender of Kabul. A tweet from the Afghan Presidential Palace account said firing had been heard at a number of points around Kabul, but that security forces in coordination with international partners had control of the city. Earlier on Sunday, the Taliban also took control of the key eastern Afghanistan city of Jalalabad without a fight. The fall of Jalalabad has given the Taliban control of a road leading to the Pakistani city of Peshawar. On Saturday, US President Joe Biden authorized 5,000 US troops to Afghanistan to help safely draw down the American embassy and remove personnel. Biden also issued a warning to the Taliban that any action that put US personnel at risk, quote, will be met with a swift and strong US military response.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.